Handlebar slipping is one of the most frustrating and common issues that new BMX riders have. I remember riding my Tony Hawk BMX bike that I got from Walmart, jumping it down a 3-stair, my handlebars slipping forward and me going over the bars. And if you've had a similar experience, you're probably really frustrated with BMX and you want to learn, how can I stop this from happening? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. In the BMX Nerd Network, Jacer says, I'm learning the basics, but I noticed that my handlebar goes forward. Last time I crashed in a BMX racetrack because when I landed the first jump, a small one, the handlebar went completely to the front. So here are some tips to stop this from happening. Typically, if your handlebars are stripping, it's because of a bad connection, I guess we'll say, between the handlebars and the stem. When you compress your stem, when you tighten those stem bolts, it's pushing down and clamping the handlebars in between there. If you look at where the handlebars go on the stem, you're going to see knurling. And the knurling is like a roughed up area that keeps it from moving back and forth. If the bars were completely smooth without knurling, it would slip a lot easier. So a common issue is the knurling gets messed up. This can happen from not tightening the stem properly the first time. After one slip, you've got to think about it. Paint and knurling and metal shavings are coming off of the bars because they've slipped. You've had that friction inside of the stem and you're shaving off pieces of the handlebars, which means that the second time that this happens, it's going to be a lot more likely. And the third time, more likely, more likely, more likely. It's just a constant problem that keeps getting worse the more that you don't fix it. So it's really important to make sure that that stem is tightened up to your handlebars the first time the proper way. This is done by doing the cross pattern. When you tighten your stem, you don't want to just tighten one bolt all the way and then tighten the next bolt all the way and then tighten the next bolt all the way. You want to make sure that you cross it. So you tighten one bolt, then you go across the handlebar to the next bolt, and then across the handlebar to the next bolt, and then across the handlebar to the next bolt. By tightening it this way, it causes a nice even compression on the handlebars and make sure that everything's compressed in one area, all together, instead of compressed in just that first bolt that you tighten, and the other three aren't able to get as tight because it causes like a crooked angle. So make sure that when you tighten your bars, you do it the right way. I did a video on how to properly install a stem, and I did mention it in this video. It's on the Dougster Bob channel, not the BMX Nerd channel, but check that out because not tightening it properly is a really big issue that people have. And now you may have tightened it correctly the 4th time or the 5th time, but by this time the knurling and the inside of the bars are shaved out. So the second thing I would recommend is taking those handlebars off, cleaning it, and making sure that there's no paint shavings or metal shavings stuck in between the bars and the stem. If there's metal shavings in there, they're going to kind of act as like a lube and keep the bars from staying tight and in place. So whenever I replace my handlebars, I pull the bars out and I wipe it down with a cloth, maybe some alcohol, some rubbing alcohol, to make sure it's clean and make sure that there's no paint or metal shavings in there. Another thing you can do to, remedy the same thing is to actually scuff up the bars even more. You can do this with a file. You just want to cut some notches in it and just create your own knurling in a sense. If that knurling's wore down, you can kind of create your own knurling by adding some scuffs in there. Another trick that people do is they put a penny on top of the handlebars where the stem's going to compress. And what this does is it adds a penny thickness in between the stem and the handlebars, making it easier for the stem to compress tighter and hold on tighter. I've tried this before and it actually works pretty good, but this is like a last ditch effort. If you don't have money to buy new bars, if you cannot get them tight, throw a penny in there. It's going to help you out quite a bit. Now, sometimes if it's not a mechanical failure or, an error due to like cheap parts, it could be because you go too hard. Some brands have come out with 1-inch diameter handlebars and stem, and the 1-inch diameter is bigger than the traditional size, and this gives it more clamping area and more clamping force in order to prevent bar slippage. Even the pros who have their bikes worked on by professionals and they're put together perfectly with high-end parts have these same issues. And so stepping up a level into the 1-inch diameter bar stem combo could solve your issue, although I think it's very unlikely that that's the problem you're having. The most common thing is going to be those bars slipping from improperly tightening your handlebars, and if they're slipping over and over again, it's because there's dirt and metal shavings and paint stuck in between there. You need to clean it out. You need to tighten it the right way. And last resort would be to throw a penny in there and keep it compressed, and it should work out. One of those 3 things should work out for you. If you're having troubles with anything else on your bike, head to the BMX Nerd Network and ask your question there. There's other BMX nerds and me in there who can help you out and answer your question. The link for that's in the description. It's completely free to join. Can't wait to see you in there.